welcome back to Blackgirlcouch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina. We are back finally for the second episode of Vikings, Season 1, Episode 2, Wrath of the Northmen, written by Michael Hurst, directed by Johan Renck. I gave this episode an 8 out of 10. It was good, a little slow in some places, but we got a lot more culture and just the development of traversing the ocean to make it to the west, and we were successful in that. Before we do jump into the recap, wherever you're listening to this podcast, at your iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon, go down to the rating section, drop some stars, leave a review. My social media will be there as well. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to send feedback for Vikings or any other shows that I do, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com. So Ragnar and Rollo meet in town, and they discuss the fact that they are embarking on this unauthorized raid to the west. We meet quite a few characters. Just take a look around, ladies, because you're going to get to know some of these names. Of course, I very much know more of these characters, but we did get a call out to Canute. There was an introduction to... Oh, why did I already forget his name? My big blonde Viking. Oh shit, son. I'm gonna remember his name. Don't worry. Eric? I think it was Eric. They meet up in Eric's home. There's a whole bunch of guys there that he says, look, you're here because you don't have nothing to do. And we are telling you here's a way to prove yourself by going to the west, by dying in battle, at least the opportunity to die in battle, because that's really big in their culture, right? These aren't people who are afraid to fight. The worst thing that can happen to them is them not dying in battle. So the chance to do so at the chance of glory is enough of a sell for most of these, even though Canute is a little bit more suspicious, cautious about this particular journey, because they aren't given a whole bunch of information other than we have a boat and we have a way, and you could follow the Earl, we could die, but wouldn't you rather die chasing a dream than die, doing the same bullshit? And that's enough to convince everybody there.
Don't believe me, just watch. Come on.
The Earl's spy comes to let him know why he's having dinner, that there was a meeting, this is where it was at, Ragnar Lothbrok was there, and it turns out your worst fears are coming true. And he says, maybe we should watch and wait. And his wife Siggy, confirms that there's no harm in watching and waiting, which is totally a 180 from how he was feeling last time. So there's an indication of maybe she convinced him to watch and wait instead of taking immediate action. And he can't help himself but stray his little eyeballs in Siggy's direction, which catches the Earl's attention. And he tells him, look, do you want to have sex with my wife? Have you had sex with my wife? He's very much denying that, but he says, look, if you want to and she's okay with it, it can be arranged. And that's exactly what they do, sticking with this particular story arc, where the little bald guy, oh my god, I forgot his name, and I hate that man so much.
Punk ass bitch motherfucker.
Oh, if I believe that's his name. But he is in the room, lets him in. Siggy's in the bed. He gets all excited, like it's cold in here, let me warm your ass up. But as soon as he starts to get a little chubby, or he probably already had one, she tells him, did you really think you were going to have sex with the Earl's wife? And this was all a setup. My take on this scene, and I did for the longest not understand what this was all about. So if in the feedback I hear these exact words, I am not going to be surprised. But my deduction is that this was the last person that was aware of what was going on, aware of the meeting, aware of what was happening. And it looks like the Earl is playing two games, right? In front of everyone else, hey, this is my rules, this is my orders. He doesn't want to authorize this trip. However, he's willing to allow it to happen, to play out, thinking it won't be successful. I also think this is something his wife Siggy convinced him, which is why they had that conversation a little bit later. And they needed to find a way to get rid of their only person that is fully aware of the fact that this is going on. So they set him up with, you tried to have sex with my wife, or you made any inappropriate, you climbed in my wife's bedroom. Of course I had to kill you, which is what they do. They take him outside and they kill him. And notice he didn't make any noise. You can't make any noise if you want to get to Valhalla. So that's one thing I truly enjoy about this iteration of Vikings. There is so much about the culture that you're able to ascertain by following these characters. It's so much more legitimate in a way than Vikings Valhalla was. And I'm not saying that wasn't, that is 100 years later, but you really do need this context to pick up, or should I say to emphasize the things going on in that series. But yeah, he's murdered and Siggy's like, I can't believe he thought. And you can see that this is a little bit bothering Earl Haraldson. I got enemies all over the place. And she tells him there won't be any success. They're not going to succeed. The next day he visits the blacksmith, poor blacksmith, who forged Ragnar's anchor. They kill him, but only after we saw Floki had taken a lock of his daughter's hair and threatened to harm her if he didn't produce the anchor. So he was forced to do that bidding and was then murdered for it. And he says, I promise not to hurt your daughter, but he does kill him. Another person that's fully aware, but also participated in the Ragnar escapade. So that makes sense that they would punish him. Canute does not join them, which very much worries Ragnar. However, he has now replaced the last guy that got murdered doing the Earl's bidding by being his spy. And I would truly ask what happened to the last guy, but I'm thinking that he probably utilizes different people as spies. And that makes a whole bunch of sense. Going to the Ragnar story arc of it, once they convince everyone, let's take this trip down memory lane or to England. He and Lagatha have a conversation while they're both washing laundry. I like that idea that domestic work is not a male or not a female type of chore. He's in there washing just along with her. And she wanted to go with him on this trip. Like, when are we selling? We're not selling. I'm going, you're staying, because I need you to protect my assets here and the children in case the Earl finds out. She is upset that they are not going together, as that's what she's always seen in her dreams. And he tries to appease her by saying, you know what? You're right. You should go. I should stay. I'll look after the children. And we both can't go because what if one of us dies? Who's going to take care of our farm and the children? Which causes her to think, because this has been their dream for so long, but she didn't think about the fact that we have these babies we can't just leave behind. And that really pisses her off, as no way in hell is she gonna run off and leave her children behind. And not only that, this is his mission. It's their dream, but it's his, he's the one that put all the effort into making this dream a reality. So when later he's drunk and his dick is hard and he's trying to get some.
What up, baby?
He really did cup his dick too. Like, everybody is about to know what is on my mind. And she probably did too. I'm just gonna wait till he bring his ass to the bedroom. Getting drunk was the thing to do. And she starts whooping his ass with her shield until Bjorn pops up and tells them, what the fuck are y'all doing? Oh, we're arguing. What? He said, never argue like that again. He's like, get the fuck out of here. Then he goes, the little pig teaches a boar a lesson, and she just slaps him.
Fuck you, bitch. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Back the fuck up. I'll knock the fuck out you.
Damn,
Pussy, hey.
At the last minute, they do get their anchor. The way he was holding that blonde girl's hair, just know. And everyone's there besides Canute. There, I forgot to mention, I'm so sorry, this scene. I feel bad because nobody should have to see that. But at the same time, it is a good indication, once again, of their culture as they pass around a bucket and do their traditional, we're going on a voyage thing. And that's because they are going to be in this boat, eating, shitting, fucking, not fucking, but masturbating possibly. I don't know. They are going to be each other's dependent for the next however months that we are sailing on this boat. And this is a small ass fucking boat. This ain't no ocean liner where everybody got their space. So it makes sense that this would be a huge part of a commitment type of ceremony between them. Still gross as shit.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
What we do get in this episode is a better understanding of characterization. We have Ragnar, we have Rollo, and we have Floki, 3 men that are seen in a screenshot together as they're going on the boat, which I thought was a great way to position them because they do have history. And if you even know the name Rollo, you would know who Rollo actually is. Floki is not remembered to history at all. Well, actually, no, he is. No, he isn't. I don't think so. I have to look into that one. But Rollo and Ragnar, well, Ragnar's is somewhat true, but possibly fictional. These are sagas. Sagas are what? As he says, stories. All stories have a beginning and an end. And Rollo definitely, yeah. If you're not into history, you don't know who Rollo is. But Rollo, we start to see his persona a little bit. We saw him as kind of the supportive brother, but we see that he also has other issues, which we would, in our society, of course, have an issue with. And even around, you see that there's a certain hierarchy of understanding, but a permissive understanding as well, which is something we see a little bit later when they get to Lindensfarne. Is it Lindensfarne? Yeah, I believe so. The monastery that's attacked, because you see those more eager to kill, and then those that are a little bit more, a little more level-headed leader looking for more than just this bait, but they understand why it's happening, right? This is what you have sold them the promise of, is that they get to fight, they get to kill, yes, Vikings when they raped women. That's just a part of what happened. You could get all moralistic in this century about it. Of course, it's terrible, it's horrible. I would never ever want that to happen. And we see Rollo actually raped a slave girl, but that's just what slaves were for. They didn't have rights. They weren't afforded rights. The same thing in we want to what's the word I'm looking for? Chastise or humiliate the Vikings or strike them down for such behavior. But the Romans, what did you think they were doing with their fucking slaves? Boys and girls, they were as young as 12 were fucking them. Because once you're a slave, and that goes for different cultures. There's different varying degrees on how they're treated. At least some slaves can get out of slavery versus like the transatlantic slavery trade. They ain't no getting out of that shit. Well, if you pop out 7 strong children and are perfectly fine with knowing those children are about to be sold as slaves, yeah, sure. If you're a female, if you wanted to become a baby farm for however many years to earn your freedom, you could do that. Not really a choice though, in my humble opinion. So as the crew are at sea, they're caught in a storm. Manic Floki interprets that Thor is proving that his ship is unsinkable. He has that black, makeup. I love their makeup when they go into battle. It's fucking awesome. They're gonna do more of it. And Loki definitely likes his black eyeliner. He's somewhere between Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne, had a love child. And his name was Floki. As they are getting through the storm, we see at Lindisfarne that there are a group of monks. Amongst them is one named Athelstan.
It's my girl. You know I'm talking about my girl.
Y'all just gonna have to deal with me gushing because my love of Athelstan has no bounds. And Ragnar and their friendship, so you're just gonna have to hear about me gushing. Arne was in there too, and I'm just gonna be saying these things, and you're just gonna have to accept that I just love these people when I say that. So Athelstan is watching with the other monks. Now, this is interesting as well because it's all about that word stories, the things that you are told that you believe to be true and the absolute truth, even if it's fantastical. This is the time in history where that shit was like on maximum high. Gods weren't just gods. Gods were actual, what am I saying that like? Well, when you talk about Christianity, most people talk about paganism as if that's somehow unrealistic, where Christianity is realistic. Sorry, I hit my phone. But we can go into a whole debate that I will not about that. But the idea that these ideas have a tangible effect on the people that are taught them, and growing up, there has been this tale of a reckoning coming from the sea. There's a lot of imagery of the Viking ship, or the head of the Viking ship, as a dragon. And everyone's very, very concerned about this as they're watching the storm, even the clouds form into, seeing what you want to see too, because there's also that interpretation of events. This is actually a real life attack on Lindisfarne. This is the first attack on English soil. So of course they would be playing it up because this is a more realistic and documented event. And then he goes to Father Cuthbert that's like, y'all need to stop acting like little bitches and go to bed and pray. Pray for some humility.
You're killing me, Larry.
Back on Ragnar's boat, one person finally decides to mutiny and say that you were wrong. This is a death trap, yada, yada, yada. However, he can't just be patient for another 15 minutes because he gets gutted by Ragnar. We saw the same thing happen, right, in Vikings Valhalla when the other guy started. You can't have that shit on your boat. It's one boat. And if you don't take care of that, then you're going to have a full mutiny. Everyone celebrates when seagulls are heard, which means that land is nearby. They have made it across to the west, successfully traveled the ocean. And a monk sees them coming out of the fog and does not have any, like, I would have just kept running in the other fucking direction. I wouldn't even went back to the place. Like, I know there's probably nowhere else on this island to go. This is the, because monasteries are like this. They're particularly isolated, but I don't know. I do not. I guess the best thing would be to try to go back and hide in a place no one would look, like the one dude in the shitter.
Oh, that's nasty. Oh, they're so nasty.
But unfortunately, that does not work out. They put on their war makeup. He tells them don't die unnecessarily, even to impress the gods. And let's do this. They get to the gate. Arne is able to take the gate apart. They're able to locate the monks very easily as they're praying in a room. They're all shocked to see them. They're all shocked to see the other. And eventually Rollo goes up to Father Cuthbert and stabs him, because in another way you have to think about it too. Your God is a threat to my God, which is the whole entire Holy Crusades. And thus there's a lack of respect for these people. It's like, no, you worship this it's not even as if they don't acknowledge their God. They're just like, this guy's pathetic. He's dead. What does he do for you? As Leif says earlier, he's like, he's not alive like ours. Like Odin, Thor, Frey. How's he supposed to, y'all just leave y'all shit right here? Y'all ain't got no curses to protect it? The shit. And there's mass slaughter everywhere. These are not people who know how to fight back, who don't have weapons, so they just massacre most of them. because that's just what they do. No, and it's so casual too. The one dude's just like grabbing him by the leg, taking his axe, killing him, and they are able to locate the treasures because there's also that lust. The you know, once you start that bloodlust, everyone else is gonna follow suit. But you can see it's business. It's not personal, except for Rollo trying to kill Athelstan. They go into the main room where all the treasures. Now, keep in mind, churches were where the treasures were back in the day in England, because that's where everyone's wealth went, into the fucking church, which is why it had so much power. Continues to. And so they hit the jackpot with all these treasures, and Leif, Eric, and Ragnar are looking over when they find Athelstan, and he is able to talk in their tongue to say, "Don't kill me." If that's one thing that you are going to learn in Norse, it's going to be those words. And that stops Ragnar. He wants to know why he's saving this little ass book, because it ain't worth nothing. He even looked through it like, what the fuck you got hidden in here? He's saving words. He's like, well, the word of God is the only thing that is worth saving. So he's fascinated by this other guy. This is another culture he doesn't know anything about. And so he decides to keep this monk for a slave. Rollo wants to come in and kill him, but he says, no, I forbid it. He's like, but we're equal. Does it mean that much to you? No, I'm just going to be a little bitch and take my axe to your cross and walk away. Rollo's just an ass for no reason. But I think also he sees the respect that his brother gets that's not necessarily afforded to him, because he's like, Ragnar, thank you for coming to my house. And you, Rollo. So he definitely feels the need, the insecurity in his soul to make his authority known, even if it's just to display it. Really, these kids upstairs gonna start playing some fucking instruments. I wish it was not 88 degrees outside so they could take their asses outside, because they just so damn, ooh, when they start on the weekends, I'd be like, come on, it's 3:37. You ain't gotta be all like that running around. So they put them on the rest of the slaves on the ship, including young Athelstan, with Ragnar watching him because he finds him an interesting person. And that is pretty much the entirety of the episode. Did I give a score for this one? I think I did. I said it's 8 out of 10. It wasn't the slowest pace or the fastest pace episode, but it did have a lot of those little things that I thoroughly enjoy about it. I could be a little bit biased though, because this is my second time watching, so I'm also correlating this with things I already know. But that is why I have my 2 first time watchers in the feedback, and it's going to give you their first take on this episode. So let's start with Queen Shy and hop on into the mailbag.
Mail, motherfucker!
Hey Christina, it's me, Shy. I am here to give my feedback for Vikings Season 1, Episode 2. This was I enjoyed this episode. This was what's the right word? An interesting episode. It had me in my thoughts. This one, just as the story progressed. Again, I'm still trying to orientate myself and get used to the characters and all of that stuff. So, I don't know certain characters' names still. I think all the main characters, pretty much. At least, for the most part. There's some that I still won't know. But yes, this one was a continuation from, and I heard your podcast for the first episode, and you said that there's going to be a lot of jumping around, so I'm preparing myself for that, and, how that's going to end up looking like. But I like that, at least for this second episode, we didn't jump too much, because it felt like a continuation of episode 1 with them. Now they're trying to recruit people to go west, and I got a little bit more understanding of what everyone's mindset is. And it's just, basically what I thought, but it was just a little bit more, explained a little bit more in regards to how they think and in regards to what's west. They don't think anything is there. They're not the explorer. They don't have the explorer mindset or thought process as Ragnar does. Like I said in my previous feedback, he's seems like more the adventurer, the thinking outside the box, wanting more than what he's just one of those outside the box thinker. They're not ready to just believe. And I saw that again in this episode. And so I'm very curious about how this story is going to progress, because he just seems more thoughtful, Ragnar. I mean, he's not just, he's, a warrior and all that stuff, but there's a brain behind, there's a strategist, there's beyond. He's thinking bigger picture and all that stuff and things that he does. And I like that about him. He's a, dreamer, and he's one of those people that tries to make those dreams a reality versus just being a dreamer. So I thought that was interesting. Like when he saved the monk, he was very intrigued by this different. Instead of just, of course, they saved a few more. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm jumping around. So anyway, so we got to see them recruit the people. We saw Haraldson, which I thought was a weird scene when the guy came back. What was his name? Olafur. He came back, reported back, and then I guess Haraldson's wife was being flirtatious, and he felt like Olafur was kind of, reciprocating, so he wanted to test him, and then, like an idiot, Olafur fell for it, the whole thing, and that was a test of trust, and he failed, and so he was murdered. And so I'm like, why would you even? I don't even care. I don't care if you sign your name in blood that, yeah, you can sleep with my wife, no problem. Why would you trust that? That was just so dumb. If you know how this person is, why would you think that he would be okay with you sleeping with his wife? Have you heard of her sleeping with other men, of him doing that with other people? So to me, it didn't make any sense. And she's just creepy anyway. I'm with Mimi in the last one, just kissing 12-year-old boys. Ew. She's just not. Anyways. So that was crazy, that whole thing. So we have Ragnar and his wife having their quote-unquote argument. How do you say her? Lagertha? I guess that's how you say her name. They have plans to do, but I'm with Ragnar. I'm like, okay, who's going to watch the kids? I'm like, what? So all y'all going? I didn't understand. I understood the disappointment of wanting to go. Y'all dreamed of this, but at the same time, you have children that are. What were y'all supposed to do with them? Like, I didn't understand her anger. I understood her disappointment, but her anger at Ragnar but I guess that's she's a warrior first. I guess I don't know. Because that never really made sense for her to be that angry at him for pointing out the obvious that she has to stay here with the children. And protect what's theirs while he's gone. They have land, they got kids, they got responsibilities. They both can't go. So I thought that was strange that she would even want to do that when she knows. Or be angry. I shouldn't say she should want to. It was their dream, but to understand why she can't. All right, and then we have Rollo. He's a pig, so he's a total douche, and I don't trust him at all. I have this sneaky suspicion because there's this jealousy, underlying jealousy, and I wonder if Ragnar is is aware of that within his brother, because that scene when they were in England kind of gave me pause, because and he had, I forget how he said it, but it just gave me the impression that he's well aware of how his brother is, because I just feel like his brother is gonna betray him in some way, because he just seems shady to me. Like I don't know, again, if you're gonna flirt with your brother's wife in his own house, I just don't trust you. So that's my feelings on him. So we see them invade England, and we hear, well, while they're at sea, we hear about the Thor and dropping the hammer. So it's just very, and then Odin, and it's very a part of their existence. They don't think of these as, they think of these as living gods. Like they're looking down, they're alive. So when they were seeing Jesus Christ on the cross, they're like, their God is dead. Why are they worshiping someone that's no longer around? But so this ties into what I was going to say earlier about Ragnar wanting to save this particular monk, because he fascinated him. What he was saying fascinated him. And then that was, of course, that scene with Rollo again was just so weird. It's like, well, he said we were equals. I want to kill him. Okay, well, he doesn't. So what makes what you want to do better than what your brother wants to do? I like that argument didn't make any sense. I'm like, okay, so you're equal. So that means because you want to kill him, you can. Your brother doesn't. So yeah, that whole argument that he made didn't make any sense. And then again, you can just tell that there's this underlying resentment with Rollo when it comes to Ragnar. Even though on some level he probably admires his brother, but on another level there's a jealousy there. So, but yeah, the monk seems to fascinate Ragnar to the point where he wanted to bring him back, and probably want to pick his brain, because he just seems to be really fixated on this guy and his thoughts and why he thinks the way he thinks. And that just had me thinking back to the Valhalla, and how is this like their way of telling how Christianity kind of invaded into the Viking world, because doesn't seem like it was a hint of that before this. Then all of a sudden they invaded England, and they started bringing them back to the Viking world. And so next thing you know, we're getting infusion of this new way of thinking, this new way of believing. So I'm very interested in how that is going to play out. I know you were laughing at or you were saying something about Ragnar's hairstyle, which I do find hilarious, but then I'm looking at the monks and I'm like, really? Why? Like, what? Who thought of that hairstyle? Who thought of that haircut? Anyway, I think that's all I have. My time is almost up anyway. On that note, until next time, much love, peace, and Black Girl Magic. Queen of the Couch, Shy.
That was Queen Shy with her thoughts on the episode. So because it's such a long story with Rollo, I'm only going to say mildly interesting. I will say you are picking up correctly on the jealousy. It definitely seems to be between the brothers. It's subtle, but I can't say anything else. I won't say anything else. But it's a whole story. And I mean seasons long of a story. So don't think you're going to get all the answers at the time that you want all the answers. just letting you know that. What else can I say about what you said? The haircuts, yes, that's exactly how monks had their hair back then. There was like a explanation for it at one point that I looked into, but I don't recall what it was. But yeah, the haircuts are all types of fucked up and jacked up. But that's how, I mean, it's not even just Northerners. Well, like in Irish and Scotland, like a lot of people liked Irishmen because they were more groomed. Like they gave a shit. Like there's this idea that people older today, especially the men, like didn't give a shit about themselves. Not fucking Northmen. Not even though they had those fucked up haircuts, they would take care of themselves. They had accessories. They like smelling good. They were not nasty individuals, and a lot of English women started to like that because all of the English men didn't take as much care when it came to their hygiene and shit. So Vikings are, despite what they look like, they are very groomed and well-mannered individuals, despite what we are possibly seeing a little bit. She does like this new role. What do I mean by that? Oh, she doesn't like this new role. I think that it really did occur to her in that very moment that he told her that, holy shit, I got kids. This is still when they're very young, so really somebody's gonna start vacuuming. They have these kids, and so I think she's just more angry at the fact that she's no longer the same person she is, and she's just resentful. He pointed that out to her. And lastly, that ceremony with the kiss for the boys, that's not something she chooses to do. That is part of the ceremony in itself. Men come of age a lot younger, and they get their arm rings, which you did hear a little bit about in this episode when they said they swore on their arm rings. That is your loyalty, fealty type of bracelet. Is something they all visibly had. If you look at Ragnar's arm, arm, you will see it. Wrist is what I really meant to say. So when they come of age, that's just something during the ceremony that they get. They get their arm band, and they also get a kiss from the queen, so to speak, or what do you call the earl's wife? I'm not actually sure, but that's why. So I don't want I'm not saying Tiggy didn't come off weird. I'm saying if that's not one of the weird things that she did. That's out of the norm. That's part of that particular ceremony. Everyone gets it. Whoever came before her did it. Whoever came before her did it. It's just a coming of age, you're a man now type of thing. So I don't have anything else to add other than, yes, I'm glad that you're starting to correlate it with Vikings Valhalla, because yes, this show is going to make that show make so much more sense in retrospect. And lastly, and not leastly, we have Queen Mimi with her thoughts on the episode. We were waiting for her. This is why this takes so long to get out, because I wanted to have that fresh perspective. I did it for you and for her, but mostly for you. For you guys. She told me Thursday, she popped it in on Friday, and then I fell asleep. So that's how that went down. But finally, she is here to give her thoughts on this episode, so let's hear it.
What up, this Mimi. This is my feedback for Vikings episode 2 of season 1. Christine is going to have you believe that it's just late because of me, but I was not even in the country, couldn't watch it, and I've been coming off of a 11-hour travel day, and I was sleeping, trying to catch up on other shows, and she messaged me asking if I was sent it yet, and I'm like, I didn't know y'all was waiting on me. I thought we was we understood each other, but I guess we were having two different conversations. I was saying I'm not coming back until Thursday, probably early morning, Thursday, midnight. And I'm going to be sleeping most of the day, so I'm probably not even going to get caught up on stuff until Thursday evening. And then I probably won't be watching anything until Friday. So I thought I explained myself that I wasn't going to make it, but I guess it was miscommunication. But anywho, so I'm going to go through this. I watched it really quickly, and I was being distracted some of the time because my son's a bugaboo, and then get caught up on emails and stuff. So I'm going to just go by what I remember. I definitely don't remember anybody's name. I know I heard the name Canute. That name sounds familiar from when we were watching Valhalla. I know there's 100 years, 50, 70 years in between, so I know that's not the same guy, but did recognize that name. But what does she call him? He is a earl. The earl told this guy are you about to sleep with my wife? And the white guy was like, no, never. And he was like, if she wants you, I give you your permission. And I was like, I know this man ain't gonna believe him. He believed him. I knew that was gonna happen. I didn't trust that guy, not a second. I can't seem to keep people's faces together. A lot of them look similar, but was the guy who got gutted because he thought he was gonna get some Empress vagina, was he the same guy that told on Ragnar? I'm not sure. The other thing is, I'm starting to get the impression that Ragnar's brother is trash. Am I understanding that correctly? He doesn't seem like a good guy. I thought he and Ragnar's wife, like, maybe had a thing before they got married, but maybe he's just trash and he wants her because he's Ragnar's. Maybe he's secretly jealous of his brother. And for the record, I thought he was saying my brother, like he just called everybody brother. I didn't realize that they were really brothers. So that makes his, like, lust after Ragnar's wife even worse. I didn't realize they were, like, truly related. So that's pretty awful. I do like how Ragnar clearly has a following and there's people that trust him. Well, except that one guy who lost his shit. But he was probably drinking salt water and he was going through a neurological psychosis. That's funny. Not really, but kind of. It's funny, but it probably shouldn't be funny. Probably shouldn't be laughing. The other thing was, like, when they finally made it to, I'm assuming, England, like I felt like, personally, I would, like, take a tour around. Like, why, like, just plunder the first place you see? Like, nothing about that area looked like it would be worth riches. I guess, like, I don't know what they used to make religious, I don't know, artifacts out of. They probably did use gold because people use religion for reasons to cause war. So they probably put a lot of money in their relics. But it just seems like they murdered all those people and really didn't have much to show for it. And for all they know, like, around the corner might have been something better. I don't know. Like, I'm sure they don't know what monks are, but Ragnar was able to figure out that those are, like, that's a religious place because there's no women. These are their priests. I guess they found something. It just seems like they murdered all those people for no reason. I don't know anything about Vikings, but it just seems like just murdering just to murder doesn't seem like right. I don't know. I guess they are supposed to be the heroes, but that doesn't seem very heroic to just start murdering folks that you don't even know their story, what's there. Doesn't seem like they really got much of anything. And yeah, and back to Ragnar's brother, I can't remember what his name is. He seems a little unhinged, and like, I had to answer, like, a text message, so I didn't want to rewind because I was already running late with this feedback. But did he, like, rape that girl? Because that's what it looked like. She didn't look like she was consenting to what he did to her. So if that's what he did, I'm definitely not gonna like him. I don't like stuff like that. And if he's supposed to be a hero, it's definitely not very heroic. And if she was consenting, he didn't even attempt to make it look like it was pleasurable for her, which makes me not like him even more. That's all I have to say about that. I am starting to get a feel. It seems like, I don't know, I want to be rooting for the Vikings, but so far they're not doing anything that's very relatable to me. I'm definitely more with Ragnar than I am with the Emperor. No, he's not an Emperor. What is he? Earl, with the Earl. I think I called his wife an Empress, but she wouldn't be an Empress. I don't know what the female version of an Earl is or what the counterpart is, like Emperor, Empress, and Earl. Earlist? Ernest? No, that can't be right. I don't know. I honestly don't even care. But I am interested to see what is going to happen next. It seems like this story's unfurling way quicker than I thought. So I do like the fast pace of everything. I don't know if they're going to leave this new land or they're going to keep going. Their boat isn't that big, but I'm not quite sure, like, how long this thing lasts. And I also don't understand why Ragnar didn't let his wife go. Like, I guess they don't bring kids. It wasn't a big boat, so I guess you can't have a lot of people. But it seems as though if he thought he was gonna die, maybe he would want his whole family with him, but I guess he did have faith. I'm not really sure, but I know that she could probably fight better than most of the men he was with, so I'm just, like, maybe was he like secretly afraid for her, and he just didn't want to say that. She has turned out to be a boss bitch, so I am enjoying her kicking his ass and kicking people's ass in general. So hopefully by next episode I remember people's names. So I'm gonna end here. Until next time, love, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic. Queen of the couch, Mimi out.
That was Queen Mimi with her thoughts on the episode. She's like, we gotta cross a miscommunication. I expected it Thursday evening, ma'am. I thought that's when you said I have it to you Thursday evening. I really didn't care. I was just more like, no, I knew I put it on the calendar for Sunday, but I was not. I even put that out there. Like, that's for y'all. This show is for y'all because I've already seen it. So anytime that you're running behind or anything, I knew you weren't going to, because we actually talked about that. So I was like, ain't she still out the country? Yeah. I just wanted to know which day to let me know so I know to watch the episode again on that certain day. I didn't watch the episode again until Thursday because that's what I thought you was going to send it. But it's all good. You got it to me yesterday and I still fell asleep. Yes, Canute, you're gonna hear a lot of people call the same fucking name because that's what they do back in the day. And I don't know, I wouldn't walk around or they wouldn't walk around. This is an island, so it's almost like you hit the tip of a place. You're not gonna go inland. One, you go inland, you're gonna need way more than a boat. Like, I'm automatically just schematically thinking about that. Like, he probably went with maybe a good 14, 15 guys that could fit on that boat. So you're not going to want to go address anything more than what you need. And they don't need a lot, right? They're poor, so to speak, in a sense. And raiding is not about conquering. That's different. So conquering, yes, you'd want to lay the land. You want to get what people's going, da-da-da-da-da-da. This first one was just, can we get there? And then once they got there, what can we grab and go? But Lindensfarne, because this is based on a true event, actually really did happen in this way. It was a very isolated monastery on this particular island. So even if they would just explore the island a lot further, they wouldn't have found shit. They landed upon the one thing they were going to get. And it was the church. And yes, back in the day in the English, the church held a lot of power. And people gave all of their money to the church or they were going to hell. So they still had money. They hit the jackpot, so to speak. As far as the Vikings, and I'm just going to let you know right now, I mean, I can't influence you, can't tell you how to feel. But that moralistic stuff, you might want to jump off that bandwagon because that's everybody. Everybody's going to be morally compromised at some point in a way in which you may not be thoroughly on their side because we're in the 21st century and we don't like women being raped. Yes, he did rape that woman because he said, come here, slave. So free women would have had the right to say no to Rollo, but a slave does not. So same capacity as any other slave in any other society at this time. Be it black, white, African, European, Indian, so on and so forth. So we can't paintbrush that. At least I don't paintbrush that in history because then I'd have to hate everybody would be a villain based on those ideas. Now we don't ever see our titular character, at least I don't recall, doing this same because his ideas, as you stated, or maybe Shai stated, are a little bit more than just like he has got a thirst for knowledge and a curiosity that everyone else around him does not have. They're there for the basics of their society, which is to raid and to have glory and to rape women in battle. That's what they would do. But not only that, what the Vikings did to actually, what sounds cruel at the time, but actually help them in the future, is that they would make their raids so vicious and brutal so that the next time that they would roll up, nobody would want it. So the next people would just surrender so they don't have to fight. So while it is terrible, it is, it also it's a tactic as well. that they used to their perfection. They actually weren't more prolific raiders than they were farmers, which is a huge misconception about it, that they went around raiding all the time. Actually, no, they did a few raids, and then we'll learn more about how they actually started navigating their relationships with England. The thing about the culture, I think Shai brought it up as well, about how does Christianity come here. This is going to be something explored in the future episodes about Christianity in itself. We saw Floki realizing what you can do with paper, because they don't have pen and paper, right? Some Vikings don't have. Curious. It's very small little things like that I really love about this show, that tells you so much more. You know, they don't know what paper is. They don't write shit down. So he discovers paper, and it's to England and even to the Romans and so on, and even back to Mesopotamia. This shit's important. Writing is important. But they don't have that in the Viking culture. So he just very willy-nilly gets rid of some very important information that can never be recorded, and burns it because he doesn't understand the meaning of it. And even if he did, there would be a certain, you know, like any other religion against religion. You believe this way, I believe this way, I think your way is inferior. And you can hear that in their voices as they're saying, well, this is an inferior religion, and thus I have the right to subvert it. I googled it. It turns out an earl's wife is a countess. So there we go. I was thinking countess, but I actually wasn't 100% sure, because I was thinking count and countess. But when it comes to English, it's earl and countess. So if it's French, it's count and countess. And the same thing with I think we mentioned earlier. He was right. They both can't take those particular risks together, because even if something were to happen to him when they were to fail, no, I don't want to take my whole they're not settling there in England. This is just a raid. So I think when you put it in the perspective of what it's supposed to be, it's like, I'm going on this dream. I hope I'm going to be successful. But if I'm not successful, I want you to have the farm. I want you to have the kids, and I want you to be safe. Yes, he probably wouldn't say something like that, even when he was trying to say, I love you. Because she was like, oh, I didn't need to sleep with. They're not going to say it in the same manners that we would say things. But that probably, you're right on that he just didn't want to put her at risk. He didn't put everything that I have at, you know, if I'm not successful, then at least you have this, at least you're okay. So a raid is a surprise attack by a small force, or a hostile or predatory incursion. I wanted to bring that up because that actually, it really does explain what they're doing more. And even he was like, there's no women here. And even though they had Rollo saying it, all the Vikings are like that. They just have a tendency to focus on the stars as the opposite. But all the people that you're going to love these are, I think, the same thing I said about The Expanse. They're not infallible people. You're going to see good sides of them. You're going to see not so great sides of them, including our protagonists. And that's just part of their journey. They're also young at this point. They don't make it very clear how young they are, but if I was to guess, 18, 19. If even possibly a little younger. Because they got down really busy and they survive a lot of years. So they're very young in their teens. And thus that also plays into a part, even though I know back then that really doesn't matter too much because you grew up how you grew up. But yeah, all these are differing factors, and I can't wait for you guys to get into the next few episodes, because yeah, they're slowly, but then the more you get to know each character, once they stand out, you'll get a better understanding. You'll get the names eventually. Even see, I'm watching back and I know half these people, and I'm still having a hard time with getting all of their names, so don't worry too much about that. And we're going to wrap it up there. So if you want to send feedback for our next episode, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below on this podcast. My social media will be there as well. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until the next time, peace, hair grease, black girl magic.